Hello again to all my food warriors. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are making an absolutely phenomenal recipe. This is my version of Piri chicken. So what I have here, I've got about 4.5 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. This is a big club pack of chicken thighs. Any connoisseur of chicken knows that you got to go for the dark meat. The magic is in the dark meat. I've made this with chicken breasts before. They tend to dry out a little bit when you cook them on the grill. But with boneless, skinless chicken thighs, lots of flavor, lots of moisture. So all I've done is I've taken my club pack, my 4.5 pounds of my boneless, skinless thighs, and I've just put them into a resealable zip top bag. And now we are going to start our marinade. So it's well into the evening, just got back at the office, going to make something else for dinner tonight, but we're getting a head start on dinner tomorrow night by having something ready to go that's marinated that I can just throw on the grill. And we're going to be making some gorgeous fresh tacos with these, but you can have these any number of different ways. So I'm going to start off with my Piri marinade. And before everybody says, is this authentic? This is my version of it. But I can tell you one thing, authentic or not, it is absolutely delicious. I'm telling you, there are very few things with more flavor that you will ever put into your face than this marinade. So we're going to start things off with just, a couple of sprigs of parsley. This is parsley right out of the garden. I'm just going to fold this in half, throw it into my little food processor here. Now you can make this in a blender, you can make this in a food processor. I find the texture of the marinade, which will ultimately turn into your basting sauce when you're grilling this, comes out a lot better when you use a food processor. So a couple of sprigs of parsley from the garden. I have a couple of cloves of garlic that I've peeled. I'm going to throw those in there as well. I do have a couple of green onions. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut these kind of fairly coarse. We're going to let our machine here do the work. Throw those in there as well. Right. Now I do want a little bit of fresh thyme. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull backwards on my sprig of thyme, pull off the leaves and throw them right in there. Pull forward on the tip. There we are. All I want is those tender little leaves in there. I don't want any of these woody stems. So I just want to pull the leaves right off. There we are. And put them, maybe one more. Maybe one more. We'll get this little bunch here. There we are. All right. These I will keep for later. These I will toss out. Now, Piri sauce and marinade is meant to be a little bit spicy. So I do have a couple of these little bird's eye chilies. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the stem off these. Throw these guys right in. Now, I have these beautiful roasted peppers. All I've done with these peppers is I've taken them, again, these are whole bell peppers. I've just washed them well, thrown them on the barbecue. You can do these under the broiler as well. All you want to do is really blister the skin. And what happens is you get this product right here. This is basically the pepper with a blistered skin. All I want to do is peel all of this black outer skin off. What you want to do is keep that flesh on the inside. So all I do is I give this a little pinch and this comes right off. So once these come off the grill, what I do is I throw them in a bowl, cover them in saran wrap, let them steam for about a half hour. And then I take the plastic wrap off. Once they cool, they are ready to peel. And you can use these in so many different applications. You can use these on pizza or focaccia. You can use these in sandwiches, in salads, or just as an accompaniment, as almost a roasted pepper salad with a meal. And they are absolutely fantastic. So you see all of this black skin comes right off. That's just the outer skin of the pepper. What you have inside is beautifully soft, beautifully sweet. And all we're going to do is make a little incision so we can get inside the pepper. And we want to get rid of, obviously, that little seed pocket there. So we're just going to pull this, just trim this right off. And then all we're going to do just with the back of our knife is we're just going to scrape these seeds off. The seeds can get a little bit bitter, so we want to remove as many of these as possible. There we are. There we are. Put that there. We'll just pull off our seed pod here. And we will just scrape again with the back of the knife, make sure we get as many of those seeds off as possible. There we are. There we are. I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash. There we are. So now what we have here is about a pound of these beautifully roasted peppers. This is 3 peppers in total. 3 large peppers will give you about a pound of flesh. Once these are all cleaned off, I want to take these and I want to put these into my food processor as well. There we are. And this will easily make enough marinade to marinate my 4.5 pounds of chicken. And I will use any of that leftover marinade as my basting sauce once my chicken is on the grill. You can do this in the oven as well. You can roast your chicken in the oven, but while the weather is still nice, I do like to do this on the grill. So now the only thing I'm going to add to this is a little bit of salt and pepper, just to make sure my seasoning's right. There we are. Maybe a pinch and a half of salt. And we want to get a good pinch of freshly cracked black pepper in there as well. Now what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of olive oil, just to loosen this up a little bit. So maybe 4 or 5 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I like to add an acid to this. Now I've done this with lemon juice and it works beautifully. Today I'm using a little bit of sherry vinegar. Love sherry vinegar for this application. It really adds a good bit of brightness and really lightens up and brightens up the marinade. So maybe a couple of tablespoons of that. And we are going to give this a quick blitz. You just want everything to come together. Now this is going to be a little bit of a chunky marinade. That's perfectly fine. The origins of this dish, most people think Portuguese chicken. Actually, the origins of this dish are South African. This is from South Africa, Mozambique. That's really where those Piri Piri chilies are native to. That's the region that this comes from. I've adapted this recipe to ingredients that we have here locally. But I'm telling you, this is absolutely fantastic. From the point of view of just a burst of flavor, you will taste very few things that pack this kind of punch in terms of flavor. There we are. So we'll just give this a taste for seasoning. Let's make sure we get everything from around the edge of our bowl here. You know what? I think that's missing a little bit of vinegar. And I'm going to add a little bit of honey. There we are. There we are. Just going to add maybe a tablespoon and a half of honey. There we are. Just for a little bit of sweetness. I think that will balance this out beautifully. All right, we'll give this one final taste here. Oh, that, nice little kick there. I do like that. So we've got the sweetness from the bell peppers, a little bit of a hint of spice from our chilies, and all we're gonna do now is basically take our little bowl here off our food processor, and we are gonna take this and dump this right over our chicken. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get this blade off. I don't want this to be getting in the way. So just put that there. Now we'll just pour this. There we are. Right into our bag. I want to make sure we get all of this goodness off the side. The bowl of our little food processor here. You can do this. Most food processors, most large one come with a slightly smaller bowl. This is just one of these little handy choppers that I happen to have around that I use for smaller jobs, and I find this is just perfect for this quantity and this application. There we are. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to seal this up. I want to get as much of the air out of that bag as possible. There we are. Seal that up. And then give it one final seal. Now all I want to do is just move this around. You notice I have a little stainless steel roasting pan here. This is for a little bit of spilling insurance. In the event that when I put this in the fridge to marinate, if there's a leak in the bag or anything spills out, I want to make sure that it's not going all over my fridge. So we're just going to give this a nice massage. Make sure that all of that chicken comes into contact with all of that marinade. And we are done. When I lie this down, I always take my seam side, fold it right up. There we are. Now this should sit in the fridge for at least, I'd say at least 4 hours. Overnight, even better. In this case, this is going to sit for 24 hours. This is going to be dinner tomorrow night. So until then, I will see you when we are ready to cook. All right, we are back. It has been a full 24 hours. It is the following day, another long day, and it's great to have dinner already ready. So I've just come back. I've taken my chicken and its marinade out of the fridge. I've given it a couple of tosses and a couple of massages since I put it in yesterday. So this is pretty well ready to go. I've got my barbecue outside preheating. I want my grill nice and hot as I cook my chicken, but before I do, there's a couple of accompaniments here that I want to finish up so that when the chicken comes off the grill, we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up a couple of vegetables here. I want a bit of cooling, a bit of crunch in my Piri Piri chicken taco. I've got a lot of savoriness, a lot of spice coming off the marinade for my chicken. And so what I have here is just half a head of just regular cabbage. All I've done, I had this kicking around my fridge. I just cut the core out, and all I want to do here is I want to cut it nice and thin. What I want is something cooling and crunchy in my taco to give me a little bit of diversity of texture, a little bit of diversity of flavor. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut this. I'm just going to shave this as thin as I can. And what I want here are these beautifully thin little ribbons. And so I'm just going to cut this thinly as I can, and I'm just going to put that into a bowl. There we are. Helps to have a very sharp knife, and we want to make sure we use our fingers here as a guide so that we can just guide the blade down. And if it gets a little tall, we can just, again, turn it over, lay it down. There we are. There we are. This is a nice mountain of cabbage. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that in my serving bowl here. There we are. There we are. And we have a couple of pieces here that need to be sliced up a little bit more. Not a problem. We will deal with these guys as necessary. No waste. Everything into the bowl. All right, we've got a couple of pieces here. Stragglers, not a problem. We simply roll them up and we give them a nice fine shaving here as well. Good. So now the other item that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very quick pickled onion, as I want a little bit of acid on my taco, something to cut through the richness of the chicken and something to cut through some of the spiciness of that sauce. So all I have here is a white onion. All I'm going to do is just cut this guy down the middle, and now we're just going to shave this again very, very thin. There we are. And all I'm going to do is put this directly in my bowl. Get the other half here. Same thing. As we get a little bit on the thin side here, we can just turn this over. Now it's on the flat side, and I can make quick work of my onion. And again, what I want to do, get everything into my bowl. And if you recall, a little earlier in the video when we were making our marinade, I used sherry vinegar, so I want to keep using that sherry vinegar again to just echo that same flavor profile. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, there we are, and I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar. That's it. 3 ingredients. There we are. So probably 3 or 4 tablespoons of vinegar, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there with my hands and I'm just going to move this around. All I want to do is get that solution completely mixed in, and literally in about 10 minutes you will have a very, very quick pickled onion. It's a great condiment. It's going to be a little bit, it's going to have that little vinegar note, and that acid is just going to cut the richness of our taco. So that's all I want to do. Just move this around. Make sure all of these onions are broken up. I want to have as many of these little individual strands as possible. There we are. And I'm just going to leave this here on the counter as I go outside and I barbecue my chicken. So just make sure this is fully well incorporated. And there we are. And that's it. Now, if you use lemon juice in your marinade, or a different kind of vinegar, wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar, all are fine. I would just use that same acid in your pickled onions, just so you have a little bit of consistency in the flavor profile. So there we are. Now wash our hands quickly. And now we're going to deal with our chicken here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open my bag, and I'm going to put all of the contents of this bag. Oh, the smell of that is fantastic. We want to make sure we get all of that into our roasting pan here. Make sure nothing spills. There we are. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze every last bit of this marinade out. If you get any of this stuff on your hands, make sure you give them a good wash. Raw chicken is not something to be played with. You don't want any of that contamination. There we are. On anything raw that you end up eating at the end. There we are. So I've got a little bit on my hands, not a problem. We're just going to throw this out. Give my hands a quick wash. Lots of soap. There we are. And now I'm going to grill this chicken on high heat. As you see, there's a little bit of extra marinade here. All I'm going to do when I flip it on the grill, if there's any left over in the bottom of the pan, which I think there will be a little bit, I'm just going to use a basting brush and make sure that I baste my chicken. So I will be out at the grill for the next few minutes cooking these guys. And then while the chicken is resting before I slice it, I've got some fresh corn tortillas that I picked up at a great little Latin market down the street. I'm just going to toast those up, and then we're ready to go to the plate. So I will see you in about 15 minutes. We are back, and that is what I'm talking about. Absolutely stellar. Grill these over high heat, get a good char going just to get some grill marks, and we want to caramelize just the sugars and the sweetness and the flavors from those peppers. And then we just finished it off just on medium heat to make sure that the chicken is cooked all the way through. This is the kind of taco that you eat. You don't even need salsa. Completely optional. There is that much flavor in the chicken. Now, a little word of advice. When I make the sauce, usually I make a big batch of it in terms of the marinade. And what I do is it freezes very, very well. So I will actually freeze them in 1 liter kind of resealable plastic containers, throw them in the freezer. This way, whenever I need it, take one out, get my chicken ready, defrost it, throw it right into the bag, marinate it, and it's done. So roasting peppers can be a little bit of a chore. So what I do is I usually roast a bunch. I'll make my sauce in a batch. The recipe scales up beautifully. And then for a recipe of this size, I would usually use maybe 4 or 5 cups or about a liter, one of those 1 liter containers as the marinade. There's lots of sauce just to spread around the grill and to make sure that the chicken stays moist as we cook it. So now we go to the plate. I'm already salivating. So I've washed my board just in the event that there was any cross-contamination. Completely clean board. And now we're going to slice up our chicken. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get one of these guys here. Oh, it's still warm. And all I want to do is just cut this up into thin strips. Now today we're making tacos. This can easily be served as a main course. Beautiful green salad, maybe some grilled vegetables on the side. We don't need to make this into a taco, but I am, because I absolutely love these tacos. So we've got our plate. All I've done here is I've warmed up some tortillas. These are some fresh corn tortillas that I bought at my Latin market. Still warm. Love that. I'm just going to keep these guys sealed up. When I heat these up, I either heat them up on the grill or in a dry cast iron pan, or I just throw them directly onto the burner on the gas stove behind me, medium heat, maybe 10-12 seconds on each side. And all I want to do is warm them up and just get a little bit of color. So what we're going to start with, you know what, we're not even doing the salsa. Not doing the salsa at all. We're going to take our chicken right at the bottom of our tortilla. Just going to fan that out. There we are. Nice bit of chicken. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of my onions here. There we are. My beautiful pickled onions. Then what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my cabbage. Make sure we have a little bit of that on there as well. Now that is a taco to be proud of. We're going to pinch this guy up. So good. I can eat a dozen of these things. So good. So flavorful. The chicken just pops right through. Got those beautiful pickled onions. Just cut the richness of the chicken. A little bit of crunch. Fantastic. If you haven't yet, do like and subscribe. If you find the content at all useful, by all means, do share it with anyone who's a fellow foodie. And this is Coach Joe saying I will see you on the next one.